Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my very first favorites video. I am very excited about this and I have quite a list to share with you. I have been wanting to do a favorites video for quite some time, but I'm not always really one to jump on the bandwagon of things that everyone else on YouTube is doing. So I wanted to take my time and really find a month where I genuinely loved things. And honestly, as I reflected back on the month of July, where kind of the overtone, if you will, was very kind of depressing. You know, my mental health was not doing great. I was having a bad time. But as I reflected back on the month to put together my favorites list for this video, I realized that there actually was this really lovely undercurrent of lots of things that I really genuinely loved and that I enjoyed. So I think it was actually a really good practice for me to do that reflection. And you know, I have a little moon journal that I write in every Sunday that prompts that kind of reflecting back. But I don't really do that long term. And if I'm perfectly honest, when I do this little journaling exercise, I'm not always the most genuine with myself. I'm not really reflecting back on the entire week or the entire month necessarily. It's kind of the things that just come to mind. I do my deeper reflection in my actual journaling, but this practice specifically to put together this video really brought forward just the amount of gratitude and appreciation that I actually do carry with me on a daily basis. So even though, again, there's this kind of overcurrent or overtone of you know, not having a great time, just getting lost in kind of the big picture, as there were lots of teeny tiny moments that I think were just special. And I'm excited to share some of my favorites with you. I've got everything from, you know, makeup and skincare to snacks. So I hope that this is the kind of video that you guys like. I really enjoy monthly favorites, or I know I talk about her all of the time, but I think Kaki does kind of biannual. I think she does a 6-month roundup, which I really like. And it's a good touch point for you as an individual, again, for that kind of reflection period, but also it's a great touch point for your viewers, and especially in, you know, the beauty space where there's so much content coming at you. And there's so many new products coming at you all the time. We get lost in kind of the hubbub, you know? So it's really lovely to take those moments and to reflect back on all of the things that you really loved and that you actually used, and the things that you sunk your teeth into, and the things that sparked joy or, you know, inspiration for you throughout a period of time. And that's why I was really excited to put together the July favorites. But I think before I dig into that specific itemized list of favorites, I thought that I would start off with a list of more ephemeral, intangible favorites. Just, you know, little moments that happened throughout this month that I think deserve an equal place on this list. So one of my first of those little moments, and I believe that I spoke about this in my video about nuance, where I was really enjoying the little moments outside in the yard where I was just, you know, taking a moment to breathe and sit and just listen to the neighborhood and to the nature and the wildlife in our neighborhood, and getting to know the songbirds and becoming familiar with the songs of each of our local songbirds. Prior to this month specifically, I hadn't really been hearing them, but we have a lot of house wrens in our neighborhood, and they're the teeniest, tiniest little birds, and unfortunately, those are also the birds that my cat tends to go for in her vicious moments. But they're these teeny, tiny little brown birds, and they have the biggest, loveliest, most powerful song. And so I have been listening to that, and I like to kind of mimic it back to them. So in that familiarity, I learn the song myself and whistle back to them, and then they whistle or sing back to you. So it's all very cute and you know, Disney princess. But that has been really lovely, is just really becoming so familiar with my local ecological environment. I think that's so important for everybody, but specifically for me, it just really kind of helps to ground me and again gets me out of my own head, so love that. My next favorite. So my mom, as I mentioned, was away for most of July on her little summer holiday. And even though we had someone coming to cut the grass, the person who was cutting the grass doesn't do it the way my mom does it, which means that especially in the backyard, things were getting a little bit overgrown. And that is when I love the grass, which is why it made my favorites list, because it did get overgrown. And you know, in our backyard, we don't just have grass, we have clover and this other kind of like creeping sort of green plant, and it is so squishy and delicious on bare feet. And like there's just nothing better to me than, you know, in the summertime, it's such like a nostalgic thing as just being barefoot in squishy grass that is either like first thing in the morning so it's still dewy, or it's late afternoon and it's just been so deliciously warmed by the sun. Ugh, I love it. And it's so squishy. And then you sit on it and it's so squishy, and nature is amazing. And then, you know, these people come along and mow the lawn and then there's like an inch left of vegetation and it's just not the same. You can feel the hard earth underneath, but when it gets that overgrown and you've got all of the clovers and all of the different plants and it's just gush. So good. And then similar to the barefoot in the grass sentiment is we have 5 absolutely beautiful tomato plants in one of our gardens this summer, and they have been absolutely abundant and like heavy with fruit to the point where I have to keep tying them up, and I was actually doing that today. So I have like little yellow streaks from the tomato plants all over my arms. But just there is nothing quite like picking, again, sun ripened tomatoes right off of the vine in your own garden. So it's like fruit and vegetables that you tend with your own hands. And I just, it's so wonderful. And just there's the smell of the tomato plants is just, it's summer, you know, it's summer embodied. And it's just a general summer favorite, but specifically in the last month, I've had so many moments spent just kind of out in the garden and tending to the garden and picking tomatoes and getting yellow tomato plant stains all over my hands and getting dirt under my nails. And it's just, that's something that I personally deeply love. The other favorite, again, all very nature related, is raising monarchs. We've seen some of that on my vlogs. Technically, I'm not really supposed to be doing that. That's a whole thing, but that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. And even when they are just in your garden is, you know, those moments in the mornings when it's very warm and sunny again, and you just see the female monarchs flying around, and they're so elegant, and it's these like lazy flights, and they light down on the milkweed, and you can see them laying their eggs, and then you start to see the baby caterpillars come out, and you just, that whole life cycle is so incredible. All of my favorites that aren't material are all, you know, outside of my body and outside of the home and just outside in general, because I just deeply, deeply love summer. Again, while my mom was away, just kind of at the end of the day, you know, my work was done, the house was tidy, I'd had dinner. I would just spend those last daylight hours just reading until literally the last of the light completely faded away. Then I would come inside. And that's just something else that I really love about the summer, is your days are so long and twilight is so different in the summertime than it is in the winter. It's such like, it's an extended experience where I feel like in the winter, like all of a sudden it's just dark, especially if you're in the city, and you know, civil twilight is much different than like twilight out in the suburbs or in the country, because the sun gets lost behind the buildings, right? So the rest of the city starts to become darker much faster. But again, this is just like a tangent on something completely else, but that has been one of my favorite things this month, is just spending those evening hours outside, sitting on the deck with the sun at my back setting, and just getting lost in a book, just being wrapped in twilight until it's completely dark. Yeah, I love that. I love that about summer. I love twilight in general. I think it's such a special kind of magical time. I love the color of things, kind of the haze of things in those moments. And so I think, especially because we have such short summers here in Canada, you know, we got to make the most of those special moments. So that definitely made my July favorites list. All right, shall we move on to makeup? None of this should be news to you guys, and none of it is new this month. Some of the things are new this year, but nothing in my little bucket here should be new to you guys. We've used this all on my channel so far, all except for one thing, but again, it's not new to me, and it most definitely would not be new to you. So let's just start with this gorgeous Typology tinted serum. Again, I'm using the shade Type 3 Medium. Thank you, Khaki, for bringing this to us. It has been a hero product, and I never, ever, ever thought that I would be a complexion product person. I never thought that I would do tinted serums or foundations or anything, but this is just absolutely delightful. I cannot rave about this enough, especially as someone who never thought she would. Again, never thought I would do foundations or anything like that. It's the perfect bridge. The texture is divine. I like the scent of it. And it's not like there's an added fragrance. It's just kind of the fragrance of the ingredients. I love the finish. I love the way it makes my skin look. I love everything about it. It's just absolutely divine. And then these two things should not come as a surprise to anybody. It is the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush. I use this so much. Danessa Myricks was the greatest decision to jump into this year in terms of makeup. So I've added Toasted Almond and Ballet Slippers. So I think these two made my favorites because I've just used them the most. I have the Vision Flush obviously in Nutcracker, which is the first brown tone that I started using. But then once I finally opened Toasted Almond, it was a no-brainer. There was no going back. Nutcracker will always be on the list. I absolutely adore the shade. And the formula is just absolutely, it's unbeatable. And then, you know, Ballet Slippers is just that perfect kind of sunburnt blush. And there's 0.21 fluid ounces or 6 milliliters. But because the pigmentation of these is so high and the versatility is so high, these things they will last so long. You need like one drop because it's just there's so much pigment, there's so much payoff, there's so much playtime. Danessa Myricks, thank you for gifting your artistry and your experimentation and your permission to play to the world. It is just so wonderful. What's next? I think I only started using this month, but I didn't buy it this month, and that is the Emma Beauty Stay Woke Concealer, and I have the color, I said this last time, T1 Honey Honey or Honey Honey T1. I don't know what the order of that is. Love this. I love the formula. The shade is really nice for me right now. I think it's great. I just, again, when I was younger, I barely used concealer. Even like 3 years ago, I was using the RMS Uncover Up, and that was it. And then I like slowly started, I guess, just needing it a little bit more. I was having a hard time with breakouts about 2 years ago, especially like all in this area. And you know, I've always kind of had the like inner nose thing. I have a situation going on now. You know, I'm getting older, so I'm definitely getting a little bit darker in my under eyes. So this has just been beautiful, wonderful, love it, love it. And I have like kind of oily combo skin. Sometimes I lean a little bit more on the normal side. It really depends on like what I'm eating, how much I'm drinking, and like what kind of environmental factors. My skin, like head to toe, really is in flux a lot. But for me, I've found this product to just be absolutely lovely. And it was a great replacement for the Kosas concealer, which I just completely finished. Next, again, something else that should not come as a surprise to anybody because I've been using it in every single video. It's the Nude by Nature Natural Illusion Pressed Eyeshadow in Stone. This quickly rose to the top from the moment that I bought it. It's great. I love the shade. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that this has just been the best like non-shadow shadow, especially the way that I use it, which is typically on the lower lash line, just for a little bit of definition. Great, 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 great. Okay, just in time for the relaunch of this product, I rediscovered the Kosas Sport Lip Fuel this month, and I have the shade Pulse. This is not new. I've had this for several years, but great color, great formula, and I don't know, it just gets lost in, you know, the stack of things. But I've been pulling it out just because I wanted something that was really hydrating on my lips, but not necessarily, you know, I didn't want a gloss or anything. I just wanted hydration, and I love a tinted balm. I really love this product, and I know a lot of other people do too. And Kosas did just do a relaunch of this. I think the formula remained the same, but they gave it new packaging. So I think there's like nude shade packaging now. It's no longer this like white and black. Some of the people that I follow suggest that the pigment also might have been reduced a little bit. Cannot vouch for that, but I think they also released a couple of other shades in this. But if you're looking for a really beautiful, wonderfully formulated tinted lip balm, highly recommend the Kosas Sport Lip Fuel. Next, I started using this again this month, maybe because my skin reached kind of the tan shade that I find more complementary to orange tones, but it is the Tower 28 Beach Please Luminous Tinted Balm, and this is the shade Golden Hour. I really apologize for the state of that. I've had this for several years. A lot of these products, like even the Kosas Lip Fuel, I've had for a number of years, probably past its expiry date. But I had a renewed kind of love affair with this. And I think I've mentioned this before. I do have a couple of the new colors that they released this year. I just haven't opened them yet because I just have some hang-ups about like opening new products. But they'll get used eventually. I'm sure they will be delightful colors maybe to open up once it does start to get a little bit cooler and, you know, fall arrives. But right now I have renewed my love affair with Golden Hour. On eyes and cheeks for like a monochromatic look. We know that I don't like this on my lips, but on the eyes and on the cheeks, yes. Okay, this one also should not come as a surprise. It is the Ritual de Fille Color Nectar Pigment Balm in Glasswing. My beautiful favorite popsicle stain grape jelly shade. Just absolutely adore it. That's it, really sheared out, but I love everything about these products. Okay, next in terms of makeup, also should not come as a surprise, is the Bare Minerals Bronzer in Kiss of Rose. Got this on today on my cheeks, my nose, my eyes. You can probably tell I'm blushy. Love this. Never thought I would fall back in love with a powder product, but here we are. And it's so good. I am obsessed. Okay, last thing also should not come as a surprise. It's the Got To Be Glued Spiking Glue. We talked about this last week. I have fallen back in love with this for my eyebrows. And as I recently discovered, the spoolie fits right into the little hole, so it's just been great. My eyebrows, not that you can see them, but they're spiked, they're fluffed, just the way that I like it, and they stay all day. And the last thing in this space specifically is these spoolies, which I was waving around a whole bunch last week, but I love them. They're so great. These are the West Barn Co. Bamboo spoolies, and I bought these last year when I was looking for disposable spoolies that weren't plastic and were also just way more sustainable. So I found these, and West Barn Co. is the company that makes the original soap brows. And so these are a bamboo handle with a fiber top, and the bamboo end is compostable. So when you're done with these, and like I use these for a while before I throw them out, which is why this like 50 pack, and I bought 2 of these, I've like barely put a dent into them because I use, I wash, I use, I wash, and then they finally do start to get a little bit matted and tattered, and that's when I know that it's time to move on and pick a new one. And I usually have like a couple going at once. I have a clean one always to like, you know, either brush my lashes out or scrape off mascara, and I always have one for my brows. But then this part, you bend and twist, and this comes right off, and then these go straight into the compost or the grain bin if you don't have a composter. Or, you know, if you've got a little fire pit, save it for kindling. Like, it's so much better, and it weighs so much less on my conscience than like plastic disposable spoolies. So this has been just a great addition to my life. And I feel so much better about this. So again, this is the West Barn Co. Bamboo Spoolies. I will link this down below. I will link all of this stuff down below, provided it's still available across the board, like all the way through my favorites. Okay, skincare. This is a smaller selection, but two more things from Typology, which I bought all at the same time when I got the tinted serum. This is, and I believe I've used this on camera before. I think maybe in my like low-key vibes video, I showed this. This is the Typology Organic Carrot Macerated Oil. And another product that I have fallen rapidly in love with, and you know, I haven't used that much because you only need a couple of drops. I use this kind of as my daily moisturizer. So after I wash my face, I use my homemade rose water toner, and then I put a couple drops of this on everywhere, neck, and then sunscreen. And that has just given me the most hydrated, happy skin I've had in a long time. So highly recommend. And the one thing that's a bummer about this is it's plastic, it's not glass. It looks like it should be glass, but it's plastic. And that hurts my heart a little bit, and it's got a black top, but the product itself is absolutely lovely. And in that same vein, I also have the Typology makeup remover with 7 ingredients. Makeup remover oil, sorry. Also absolutely lovely. I use this at night. This is step 1 in my 2-step cleanse. It's great. You know, there's some oil cleansers that like really don't come off, and you need to have a second cleanse and like something that kind of has a little bit more suds to it to really get that oil off your face. This emulsifies and rinses off so beautifully. It's lovely. It does an amazing job at getting all of that makeup off, breaking down the mascara. There's no like stinging of the eyes. It's just a great first wash product to get all of that junk off of your face. And then I, of course, always go in with a second product that has a little bit more of that like sudsy, foamy thing to it to like kind of scrape off that layer of like oily grime. But even once you rinse this, like I said, it rinses off so wonderfully. It emulsifies beautifully. You don't end up with that like kind of gummy feel you can get sometimes with an oil cleanser. It's just lovely. And the price point on Typology is great. I heard something a couple of weeks ago that they might be shifting their prices. I don't know if that's to do with like the exchange, or they're maybe just like recognizing the like market value of their prices. Not sure, but when I purchased these, which was a couple of months ago now, the price point was amazing. And you know, this is quite a lot of product. This is 100 milliliters or 3.51 fluid ounces. And like, again, you only need a couple of drops. Always apply an oil moisturizer to a damp skin because that's how it's really gonna soak in. But it's so good. And it smells really lovely too. Okay, then I've talked about this before, but this is another thing that I've like fallen back in love with, and that is the Graydon Skincare Phyto Clear Botanical Retinol Gel Cream. And I was using this as my daily moisturizer, and I didn't like it. It like really kind of sucked my face dry by itself. And like, I was kind of expecting this to be, you know, a toner cream done situation and feeling moisturized and like hydrated. It didn't do that for me in the daytime, but I've switched it up and started using this at night instead. So I wash my face, I put on my night essence, I put this on, and then I layer one of my like thicker balms on top of this. And Khaki, again, I'm sorry, I talk about Khaki all the time. I just freaking love her so much. She says that she likes to go to bed as a glazed donut. And like, yes, exactly that, a glazed donut. That's how I go to bed. But like this with one of my other nighttime kind of balms on top, my skin looks beautiful. It looks hydrated and plump in the morning. And that's what I'm looking for. Is like, I don't want to wake up with like sucked dry skin. You know, I want to wake up with really well-nourished skin. The skin that has like actually had a chance to regenerate as I sleep and doesn't have all of the moisture sucked out of it. So switching this product specifically, again, Great End Skincare, to nighttime use instead of daytime use has been game-changing and made me actually really appreciate this product. Last but not least, I think I spoke about this maybe last week too, can't remember. It is the Masculine Made Sirena or Serena, I don't know, Illuminating and Nourishing Body Lotion. And maybe it wasn't last week that I spoke about this, but it is so lovely. When I did speak about this, I didn't really show you the color, but it is kind of the color of the wall here. And it's got a very, very subtle shimmer to it. I don't know, like, can you... If I rub it into my hand, I wonder if you'll be able to see. But it's just this beautiful lotion. Smells so good and like kind of nostalgic. I don't know if you can see, but it gives the most beautiful sheen to the skin. The texture of this cream is really light, but it's super, super hydrating. And when I just want to be like glowy and luxurious after my shower, I put this all over my body. I think, again, when I purchased this, it was a limited edition, like kind of summer issue lotion. I think she put it on sale for like 50% off as she was kind of like getting rid of the rest of her batch. But if it's still on her website, I will absolutely link it down below again, because I highly, highly, highly recommend this product. It's just, oh, it's so good. I love it so much. I wish that I had bought at like 6. Okay, this is going to be the longest video ever, but who's surprised? It's me. I'm gonna move on to clothing next, and one of these items is new. This is one of the things that I broke my July, or my no-buy on. I am back on track though, by the way. I have not purchased any more clothing or beauty or skincare, you know, my 2 problem areas. So I'm back on track, and we're gonna go straight through the end of September now because I had that hiccup, but we're gonna grab the favorites. Okay, so favorite number 1. And if you saw my video last week and you follow me on Instagram, these made it into my photo shoot. It's the American Eagle mom jean with the rip in the knee and this like lovely kind of distressed light blue wash. Man, I love these, and I'm just really gonna give American Eagle, you know, they might not have the best like labor practices or whatever. I don't really know. I haven't done a deep dive on them, but just props for finally giving acknowledgement and like holding space for all different heights and sizes of people. I really appreciate that. Like, being a tiny woman, having extra short pants is just, as I said in that one video where I talked about these, it's revolutionary. And I'm not exaggerating. It's major. It puts a huge happy face on my body, you know, because I have pants that actually fit me, and I don't have to buy kids pants. I can actually just, you know, shop my own age group, which is lovely. So cheers for having extra short pants. They also have extra long. Great. Next, also from American Eagle, I don't know when I got these, maybe in May. If you can't tell, I love a ruffle, I love a frill. And by extension, I love a ruffly, frilly sock so much. These are the American Eagle or AE Ruffle boyfriend socks. My notes here say I did in fact purchase these in May. They came in a set black and white. I'm holding up the black ones because the white ones are dirty. I wore them in the photo shoot. So if you see those photos, those are the little white socks that I was wearing with my black chunky boots. And so they're like sticking out above the rim. Such a cute look, but I love a frilly sock. And these aren't like, you know, it's not like the lace frills, though I do have a pair of those too, but it's just this like really cute little frill. These ones are more of an ankle sock. I have more of a crew sock that has the scalloped edge. These ones are no longer available, but the frilly kind of ruffled edge sock is back in style. So it's like pretty easy to find something similar, something in that vein. H&M always has the like 5-pack of their socks that has the scalloped edge, and they are more of a crew sock, so just longer. I have been wearing those specific socks and buying those specific socks for years. like 5 years. They have been my favorite all-time socks, but just these ones are so cute and special, and like I can wear them with my boots to have that like little frilly detail. And I just think it's the cutest thing. Okay, next, and this one isn't the color that's my favorite, but this bodysuit from Eritsia, it's the Sunday Best Firecracker bodysuit, and it again has the like kind of ruffled strap and a square neck. My favorite color is the Lavish Lavender. Again, if you saw my photo shoot pictures on my Instagram, it's the bodysuit that I'm wearing with those mom jeans. Surprisingly, the black one isn't the one that's gotten the most use. And again, the lavender one is in the wash, which is why I held up the black one, but love it. It's so comfortable. It's so cute. I love a bodysuit, and just that little like frilly strap gives it this extra bit of like feminine detail, and it's adorable. I love it. So comfy. Looks great with so many different things, and I just love purple. I love a lavender. Last thing. It is the Dynamite Libra t-shirt dress, and Jamie Page made me do it. She showed this dress off in a haul, and I love a t-shirt dress in the summertime because it's just you throw it on, you can dress it up, you can dress it down, and I love it. If it's the right cut for your body, it's one of the best pieces of clothing you can own. I cuff the sleeves on mine just because I'm small, and I don't like the shape of the arm when the sleeve is uncuffed, but these are great. The fabric is a little heavier, like it's not a flimsy t-shirt, it's not see-through. This is the like olive color. So I got this in this like olive tone, kind of a pink color, and then that tawny yellow color, or like mustard yellow, that is really still very popular. Great t-shirt dresses, really inexpensive. And again, you can dress them up or dress them down, and I can't say enough about a t-shirt dress. They do still have them in stock and kind of a wide range of colors, so that's another thing that I will be sure to link below. Okay, podcasts. I have 2 that I have been really loving this month. The first one is Drama Queens with Sophia Bush, Hilary Burton, and Bethany Joy Lenz. Is that still her name? Bethany Joy? The 3 main characters from One Tree Hill. So they decided to team up and do a podcast where they are rewatching for the very first time One Tree Hill, right from, episode 1, season 1 through to the end. So I think we're only like maybe 5 episodes in, but it's just really great. And like, I grew up on that show. One Tree Hill came out in 2003, I think. I was 13. So like, I really grew up with this show. I probably identify with it now in a completely different way than I did back then, but like this show was an essential part of like my teenage life, as were like WB49 kind of early. It wasn't the CW yet, now it's the CW, and like very similar kinds of shows, but it was just a real genuine teen show about people, about like real kids. Like the OC was kind of on the TV at the same time, and that was like rich kids, that it was harder to kind of identify with them. But One Tree Hill was just like real kids in like a real small town who wore real like normal clothes. And yeah, there was definitely some kids who had more money than others, but just such a genuine show that I think showed a lot of teenage vulnerability and even adult vulnerability that some shows just miss the mark on. And I think that's why it resonated so much and got such a huge cult following. So it's really awesome to hear these 3 girls who were role models for so many of us young teenagers when the show was on TV, and still today rewatch from the beginning as adults, looking back on their kind of baby selves, playing these characters who were these role models at the time for young teenage girls, and who still are, I think, if there's teenagers and young adults coming to this show now. But it's just exceptional. And Sophia Bush is someone that I have always followed like throughout her whole career, and she's got the Work in Progress podcast too, which isn't on my favorites list this month, but it's wonderful. I appreciate the way that she moves in the world, and she uses her voice and her platform for so many things. But it's also just nice to like listen to her in the context of just a couple of girlfriends talking and like rehashing those days. And nostalgia is so in still. And I personally have spent so much time over the past 2 years kind of like reflecting back on, my teenagehood and the waves and waves and immensity of emotions during those times. And you know, in some ways we're so much different as, you know, 30-year-olds as we were, and like we thought we were so mature and like important and we knew everything, and then, you know, 15, 18 years later, whatever, you're like, oh God, I knew nothing. I was literally just a child walking around pretending. I was playing dress up. When I should have just been focusing on being a kid. And that's kind of what this podcast is about too, but it's also just not just reflecting on like the sentiments of those years, but also the show itself and like just the actual artistry that came out of the show, but also some of the struggles that these women as actresses on that show went through, and the way that they were very progressive in how they pushed back and stood their ground and said yes or no on certain things throughout the making of the show that really, I think, helped to inform who their characters were and became. Anyways, I could go on and on about One Tree Hill and like all of that stuff for a very long time, but just exceptional. It's a great podcast. If you're a One Tree Hill fan, it's such a great way to kind of experience One Tree Hill again, but also with this just different insight and perspective. The second podcast is called Matriarch Movement. It came across my path because there's one episode with Lee Joseph, who is an absolutely amazing Indigenous woman out in British Columbia, and she is the co-founder or a co-founder of Squalin Botanicals, and it's just this wonderful like beauty skincare brand, Indigenous owned skincare brand, obviously. But I will read you what the whole like purpose is of this podcast. So on Matriarch Movement, host Shayla Ouellette Stonechild shares stories of Indigenous women from Canada to Turtle Island and beyond, through interviews where issues facing Indigenous women are brought to light and with portraits that challenge the mainstream narrative around Indigenous identity. Matriarch Movement offers up a new category of Indigenous role models to inspire the next 7 generations. Brilliant podcast, highly recommend. And again, the first episode that kind of crossed my path was with Lee Joseph, because I follow the brand and I really, really love her brand. And then I kind of just dug into the rest. So if you love women, if you love Indigenous women, if you care about Indigenous culture and want to like sink your teeth into it a little bit more, I think that podcast is a really great place to start. Otherwise, it's just wonderful conversations and just really, really incredible people on that podcast. Next, music. I discovered the band Crownlands, I think it was this month, and the song that I discovered the band through is called White Buffalo, and it was one of their newer releases, and I think Spotify served it to me through like my New Music Weekly or like the Friday playlist. So good. Like, we're talking, this is a rock band. Again, one of the singers is a Two-Spirit Indigenous person. They are from, like, they're local to Ontario, very local actually to kind of where I live. I think they are from Whitby, or like somewhere in that area, Oshawa perhaps. So good. And like the main singer, Cody, I think their name is, sounds, I mean, the whole band, it just sounds like they stepped right out of 1975. It's amazing. I freaking love it. I will link their music down below. Highly recommend if you like rock. Then Folklore by Taylor Swift. Who's surprised? But somehow that album is already a year old. And, you know, after Folklore came out, that's like all I listened to last July and August. And then, you know, she dropped Evermore. So that was all I was listening to. And then Olivia Rodrigo came in with Sour, and that was all I was listening to. But then I just have been listening to Folklore again and didn't really realize it had already been a year since this was like out in the universe. Anyways, Folklore is just a masterpiece, and it will always be, and I will just never not love it. So enough said. Then this is really special to me. And it's not even so much the music as it is the entire experience, but this is Jackson Browne's new album, Downhill from Everywhere. And I have the vinyl and the CD. Again, I love Jackson Browne. I love kind of classic rock. But this is extra special to me because I actually got to work with Jackson Browne this year to select the photograph for the cover of his album, because I work for the photographer. That's my job. So Jackson Browne actually sent this to me. And like, I'm just gonna humble brag for a little bit. Like, I even got a card with compliments, Jackson Brown. So like, oh my God, did I get PR? Yeah, no, he sent me cookies at Christmas time, and then this was completely unexpected. Did not have any expectation for this at all, but got this in the mail. And I don't even want to open it, which is why it's so shiny, because it's still shrink wrapped. But like, what a gift. What an absolute treasure. And the album itself is phenomenal. I will link that down below as well. Yeah, very cool. Sometimes there are just cool shit that happens, and I love that. Okay, shows. There's still so much here. That is Home Before Dark, which is an Apple TV Plus original about a 9/10-year-old investigative reporter, is phenomenal. If you have Apple TV Plus, please just go check this show out. If you kind of like not really crime, but like investigation and like mystery, it's great, but because it's centered around a young girl, it's also, you know, a little bit wholesome, but she's like whippet smart. It's just, it is phenomenally well done. I also binge watched all of the first season of the live action Nancy Drew, which I didn't expect to like, but I fell in love with so fast. It is basically like a paranormal version of Veronica Mars. It's so good. Only the first season is available on Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime, which is the two things that I have. Season 2, they're making you buy right now. Maybe in the US, there's easier access to season 2, but the first season is so good, and I'm just like so annoyed that I don't have access to season 2, because I wanna know what happens. I wanna just dive back in, but excellent. Okay, quickly, some home things. This candle, which is new. I was all out of candles, so I went to Winners and I picked this up. It is the M of WG. I don't know. Winners just has random brands. I'll post the actual full thing below. But this is espresso coffee and caramel. It is delicious. It has been making me so happy. Those are two scents that I absolutely adore. So just lovely. And I love that it's like chunky. I love the brown glass. All around, just delightful. Second home thing, and this is not the like prettiest thing in the world. Excuse my inability to like make nice things, but smudge sticks made from garden herbs. So rather than, you know, buying white sage smudge sticks and like any more Palo Santo, no, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave sacred plants alone. From now on, all summer and all month specifically, I have been making my own smudge sticks out of lavender, rosemary, and thyme straight from my garden. Just chopping it up, binding it, drying it, burning it, and it's just so lovely. And it just like it carries a different energy with it again when you've like made it yourself, when you've tended to those herbs with your own hands. The scent of lavender when it's been burned is so delicious. It's sweet and smoky. Ugh, I love it so much. I have like 4 or 5 of these little homemade smudge sticks now all over the house because it's just making me so happy. Okay, office favorites. My favorite pen dried up. So when I was dropping off a package the other day, which was at Staples because they're our FedEx location, I was like, well, I guess I'm here. I might as well look to see if I can find a new favorite pen, and I did. This is the Pentel Slitchy 0.25 millimeter extra fine gel pen, and like extra fine indeed. I don't like a chubby ballpoint pen. No, I like something that's scratchy. Do you hear how scratchy that is? Oh my God, I love it. And like, you'd think that I wouldn't because I have like misophonia, but just, I need really serious friction when I'm writing, especially with pens. I don't like pens that just like slip away from you and they're just like kind of greasy and wet. I don't like that in a pen. I like something that's got a really nice friction, a really fine point. And so I got a purple one as well because obviously, and yeah. Okay, last thing, and then I promise I will stop talking. It's a snack. Also from Winners the other day. And I have been looking for these for a long time, and like my local grocery stores don't carry it. It is the Simply 7 quinoa curls. If you are gluten-free or you just like a simple ingredient snack, I highly recommend the quinoa curl if you can find them. Again, I'll see if I can find a link to purchase and link that down below, but these are so good, and there's just like a few crumbs left in there. That's the mesquite barbecue one, but they have some other flavors. It's just good. I like a snack that's like not too big, not too small, has some texture to it, so you get that like curly bit. All in all, just great. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of favorites here. July, in terms of finding little things that I really loved and that brought me joy, was obviously very abundant. I was rich with favorites this month, and that's just, you know, one of the things we have to remind ourselves of when things get a little tough and we get a little down in the dumps. And it's really hard. It can be really hard to, you know, pick yourself up and just reflect on, you know, the good things and carry space for and recognize things that do bring you joy. And that is just the weight of anxiety and depression sometimes, is it's so easy to get lost in the woods. But sometimes you come to a clearing that is just beautiful and peaceful, and it's moss covered, and it's quiet and warm, and there's flowers, and it just gives you a moment to rest and breathe and maybe have a little sleep too, and maybe you get to hug a baby deer and literally smell the roses. So, you know, are you picking up what I'm putting down? And so that's kind of what I found in minute moments. And as I was reflecting on what I actually loved enough to put on a favorites list. So I hope you guys are experiencing similar things. By the time you guys see this video, it will like officially, we will be fully into August. I think I'm gonna publish this on August 7th because I'm kind of a week ahead. But I think that's still okay. Even in August, you can reflect on the previous month. Although, you know, equally important is to be present. We know that. That's something that I have a significant problem with doing because I'm always so far in the future. But that is also kind of why the reflecting moment and looking back and just remembering all of those little things. Again, the moment when you walk into that peaceful little clearing is so special. So again, I hope, I'm just rambling. I'm not even making sense anymore. Whatever, you guys know what I'm saying. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you've enjoyed all of the July favorites that are coming out, and you know that there's things that you have found inspiring and exciting and joyful in your own month. And you know, August is upon us, and I hope that the weather continues to be warm, or here just gets warm. I hope August is magical because it tends to always be. So I hope that that kind of tradition carries on. And yeah, I think that's everything for me today. If you have made it all the way through this video, thank you so much. If you liked this video, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below because I would love to have you as part of the Land Fam. And without further ado, I will see you in my next one.